8th is the birthday of our Blessed Mother. And because I'm not very bright, I didn't realize until maybe a few years ago that it's actually exactly 9 months after December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, that we celebrate her birthday. So it all makes sense. Here's the thing. In the Bible, we can't really read about the details of Our Lady's birth. So the Church instead uses the salvation history, or the bigger story, to illustrate for us how our Blessed Mother's birth and her very person is also part of that plan of God that was right there from the beginning. And so in our gospel reading from the Mass today, we have the option of reading out the entire genealogy of Jesus from the Gospel of Matthew, starting from Abraham all the way down to Joseph, the husband of Mary, and of course, Jesus. Now, in this genealogy, we, of course, will recognize certain names. Famous people like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, King David, Solomon. But there are also other people that, their names are obscure, barely pronounceable, right? So, people like Jeconiah, Zalethio, but here's the thing, right? Even the less famous characters in this genealogy are part and parcel of this plan of salvation, right? They are essential in being this link that stretches all the way back to Abraham. And we see God using everybody and everything for his plan. Included in the genealogy are a couple of details that should kind of jump off the page at us. For example, we hear that King Solomon is the offspring of King David and the wife of Uriah, right? Which of course reminds us of that story, right? where adultery and ultimately murder is involved in King David's life. But here's the thing, right? Even that very sinful action, those very bad things that happened, led to something good, led to King Solomon, right? And God uses that in his plan. We also hear the mention of the deportation of the Israelites to Babylon. And even that is captured by God to be used in his greater plan. Many prophets are called during that period of exile. The holy, the sacred scriptures, the writings were compiled and given a new light because of this great event, a tragic event, but a necessary event in the plan of salvation. Here, Paul, I think, helps us in the verse reading to kind of make sense of all of this, right? He reminds the Romans, and in turn us, that we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. God has this amazing way of bringing anything and everything that is given to him to be used in his plan. His providential hand is inserted in all people's histories. Your history, my history. I think of, my family genealogy, my background, right? How if my ancestors perhaps didn't receive the Christian faith, weren't baptized, I wouldn't be who I am today. Or if my parents didn't decide to come to Canada some, 2.5 decades ago, I wouldn't again be here today. Even in the life of Mary and Joseph, we see that things, take different turns, and there were crises. It wasn't a picture-perfect fairy tale. But God uses it to bring about his will and his plan, and that's something that I think we can all rejoice in. It also makes us ever more grateful for all the ways that God has guided, even very subtly, each of us to be who we are today. So perhaps today, reflect, right? What is your history? What is your story? What is your family's story? How has God led you to where you are today? How has he placed different people or situations in your history or in your family's history? In turn, are you or how are you giving Him permission to continue to write that story, to write the next sentence, the next paragraph, chapter in your story? And how are you involving God in the story you are writing with Him this very minute? May God bless you.